Okay, so what happened in Ohio this week, there was on the ballot a constitutional amendment that would have made it more difficult to pass a constitutional amendment. It would have increased the majority necessary from 50% to 60%, which a lot of states have a 60% majority to pass a constitutional amendment, so this wasn't something outrageous or unprecedented or anything of the type. The reason it was a polarizing vote was because the pro-life coalition and the Republicans wanted to make it more difficult to pass a constitutional amendment because the pro-abortion folks in Ohio are trying to pass abortion up until the moment of birth, and the pro-lifers and the Republicans want to make it more difficult for them to do that. So, of course, it became a very polarizing issue, and Republicans and pro-lifers lost. They lost pretty handily. This is a tweet from Ilhan Omar that I want to bring up. It has a graph here. It was 62% to 38%. Ilhan Omar, of course, her commentary is, this hell no vote is a win for liberty. The GOP ignored warning signs as polls showed nearly 60% of voters were against the measure. Nearly 60% support abortion access. The GOP loses when they go after democracy and women's rights, but they keep effing around and finding out. Ilhan Omar is just a nasty person. She posted this graph with it that showed where the votes came from, that showed that, yeah, 60% voted against this constitutional amendment, 38% about voted for it. It is disappointing, but here's the bigger picture here. The bigger picture here is this is the problem that the Republican Party is facing. The reason that Republicans lost in Ohio this week is the same reason that Republicans lost the midterms in 2022, and it's the same reason that Republicans lost the presidential election in 2020. The reason is because Democrats have get out the vote operations like you've never seen before. In some states, I'm talking about ballot harvesting. In most states, I'm talking about early voting and universal mail-in ballots. They have specifically targeted campaigns where they actively recruit voters. And so these elections are won before election day even comes around. And meanwhile, Republicans are over here like, we don't believe in election season. We only want election day, which, fine, I do too. I wish that people could only vote with paper ballots at the poll on voting day, unless there was an exception for like illness or deployment in the military or something really severe that allowed you to vote absentee. I wish that too, but that's not the reality of the situation that we're facing. The situation that we're facing is Democrats are allowed to do all of this electioneering, ballot harvesting, early voting, universal mail-in ballots, targeted recruitment of certain voting demographics, which with misleading narratives to trick people into voting Democrat, and it's working. And so let me tell you this. It happened in 2020. It happened in 2022. It happened in Ohio over this issue and in other states over similar issues, especially abortion, because Republican politicians are so afraid to talk about abortion. They're so afraid to be pro-life because their consultants have told them that's an unpopular topic with constituents, that we've surrendered the narrative to the left. We've allowed the left to define abortion, not as a brutal medical procedure, a brutal, bloody medical procedure that deliberately ends the life of a living human baby inside the mother's womb. Instead of actually competing for this narrative and offering reality to women, we've allowed the left to brand abortion as miscarriage care, ectopic pregnancy care, rape and incest and life of the mother, when that's not true. That none of that is true. But because consultants have told Republican politicians that abortion's unpopular to talk about, we don't even compete. So all of these voters that voted against this constitutional amendment were recruited by Democrats, probably engaged in early voting, have fallen prey to the narrative that the left propagated that we didn't even compete against. And so what happened in 2020, what happened in 2022, and what happened in Ohio, my friends, it's going to keep happening. We're not going to win in 2024. We're not going to win in 2026. We're not going to win in 2028. We're not going to win abortion until we compete with a get out the vote apparatus that the Democrats have. If we don't embrace early voting, we don't embrace ballot harvesting, if we don't recruit voters and compete with uncomfortable narratives, then we're going to continue to lose. Even if we actually own public opinion on abortion, which we do, by the way, the vast majority of Americans do not think abortion should be legal in the third trimester. The vast majority of Americans do not think abortion should be legal in the second trimester. And yet, we continue to lose whenever this is on the ballot because we're not competing. Republicans are being losers. You can't walk into a game without training and expect to have some miraculous victory here. Of course you're going to lose. obviously. And you can blame the RNC for this. This is a top-down strategy, and yes, they are to blame. You can blame state Republican apparatuses because they're supposed to be in charge of this in their own state, and yes, that's true. But it's also something that we, the people, the electorate at large, has to demand before any Republican apparatus is going to do it. We have to educate ourselves on what the Democrats are doing so that we can not only do the same thing, but do it better. Until we do that, we're going to keep losing. It's infuriating. You can tell that I feel passionately about this because Ohio is my home state. It is not a pro-abortion state. It's a largely pro-life state. And yet, we've been outmaneuvered by the Democrats, and we lost, and we didn't have to lose. A Mega Millions winner has been found, although I suppose we don't know the name of this winner. The winning ticket was sold in Florida at a Publix. I don't think that this is the first time that a Mega Millions ticket, a winning ticket, has been sold at a Publix. So maybe that's where we should all be buying our tickets. This is what I would do with the money. If I won, what is it, like $1 billion? This is what I would do. First of all, I would not tell a single person, not anyone. Well, my husband, of course, I would tell. I would not tell anyone, though. Not anyone. I would then invest it so that it became self-perpetuating. So anything that I spent was just recreated through my investments. I would, of course, pay off any family debts that I could possibly pay off. And I would earmark a large amount of it for a charitable foundation. I would not change my lifestyle. Not one bit, except for one thing. I would buy a private jet. But other than that, not a single thing. No one would ever know if I won the Mega Millions. Not a single person. You would not know until you saw me flying around in my private jet. So the day that you see me jetting across the country, just me, kicking back, sipping a little champagne, then you know that I'm that one that actually won the Mega Millions here. Speaking of Florida, Governor DeSantis removed another Soros-funded radical prosecutor from her position. Great move by DeSantis, and this is why he announced that he removed her. Take a listen to this.
The state of Florida is a law and order state, and that means we support the men and women who wear the uniform, who protect and serve. It means we have strong policies to hold criminals accountable for their misconduct. Prosecutors have a duty to faithfully enforce the law. One's political agenda cannot trump this solemn duty. Refusing to faithfully enforce the laws of Florida puts our communities in danger and victimizes innocent Floridians. Accordingly, I am today announcing the suspension of State Attorney Monique Worrell from the 9th Judicial Circuit, effective immediately.
Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.